Just a few days before the presentation of the new 2022 cars, we would like to summarize the evolution that the power unit, the engine, has undergone since its introduction in 2014. Since 2014, the rules and the way to develop the power unit has been completely changed. Before, the game of the motorist of Formula One was to put as much air as possible in the engine, to then put as much fuel as possible, and this amount of fuel that you would put in the engine would allow to gain power and gain every year some more power, and the rest was done on that. In 2014, the FIA made us the proposal to the manufacturer to change the game, and they decided, okay, now guys, we are going to change completely the figure. We are going to impose the amount of fuel that is going into the engine, and your job will be to do the best use of this fuel, to burn as much as possible this fuel with a very high efficiency, and then the rest will be on technologies that are related to what we want for the future of automotive. Less CO2 emissions, more power with less gasoline. But we did not only that in Formula One. We also decided that the power unit that you would use would have a technology that was not yet on road car. And so it has been decided to try to use the best technology for the combustion, injection, compression ratio, all the traditional technology of engine people, to add a turbo engine. At this time, the turbo engine were coming back on the road car. And also, it was decided to try to recover the lost energy. When you have combustion, a lot of the energy is not used to power the car. It is going into the exhaust. You have to cool with radiator. And so, what was decided was to put technologies that would recover part of this energy. After some studies, we realized that the best way to recover energy was to recover the energy that is lost in the exhaust of the cars. What has been added to recover this energy was a small motor that is hooked to the turbo that can allow to recover the extra energy that then would go directly in the air. In that case, we use the energy that is in the exhaust gas to power the turbo, recover this energy, and use it later on with another motor to give more power to the car. Plus, we have the traditional recovery of braking energy. Every time the car is braking, you are also dissipating energy through heat in the brakes. In that case, you can also brake the car with an electrical motor, recover this energy. All this energy is going in a battery. And then after that, the game is to recover as much energy as possible and to then use it later on to push the car and have a complementary power to the engine. The combustion engine started with performance that were close to road car engine, but then the engineers of Formula One have realized that using a good gasoline, developed with our gasoline partners, we could also improve a lot the power, increase the compression ratio, and have a much better efficiency. And over 10 years, we have finished by having very high level of efficiency of burning the gasoline from the engine. But this progress of efficiency, they have also been accompanied by progress for all the other parts of the power unit. The turbo also started from performance of road car turbo, but we have been able now to develop compressor and turbines that can recover almost all the energy that there is in the exhaust. The turbines have now efficiencies that are 90%, which means that almost all the heat that you would lose in the exhaust is recovered, put in the battery, and then used to power the car and give more performance on the lap. In the same way, all the electric system improved over the years, and now we have extremely efficient motor and power electronics that are controlling the motors, and we lose only 1 to 2% of the energy when we put it through the motors. Batteries also technology has extremely strong evolution in 10 years, and now we have systems that are extremely efficient. That means when you put energy in the battery and you take it away, you are losing very small amount of this energy, maybe 10%. And so this lets you give more power to the traction motor and then make the car faster. So where are we now and where do we go? What we have seen after 8 years of development of this new power unit is that the efficiency out of the gasoline, meaning the energy you can recover when you burn the gasoline, when you recover it, has gone from 30%, the number we had in 2013, to now more than 50%. So it's a tremendous improvement because this type of efficiency, you can very rarely find it in combustion process, maybe in some static combustion devices, but not on cars. What will be the evolution of this? With the FIA and all the manufacturers, we have decided to continue this route toward a more sustainable technology in Formula One. And what we try to do now is to increase the electric power, all the recovery sources that we can have as compared to the amount of gasoline. So in the future, in Formula One, we will keep this game of having less gasoline and trying to extract as much power as we can, as much energy, and we will increase the possibility of having electric power to reach numbers like 50% of energy from the engine and 50% of energy from the hybrid system, the electric system that will be in phase with the technology development we have with road car.
At British Airways, we're on our most important journey yet to a more sustainable future, and we have a clear plan to get us there. We call it Be a Better World. It's our commitment to putting sustainability at the heart of British Airways. With short, medium and long-term actions, our aim is to reduce our carbon footprint and reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050 or sooner. We are already investing in sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, a real game changer for reducing aviation's impact on the planet. And believe it or not, its journey often starts right here, in the kitchen. But what is sustainable aviation fuel? SAF can be made from a number of materials, including waste gases, crop and forestry residues, household and commercial waste, and even used cooking oil, which made these chips. Obviously, we're not going to be putting used cooking oil directly into any of the engines that I look after. So how do we get from chips to SAF? Unlike traditional aviation fossil fuels that have taken millions of years to form underground, SAF is produced from products that are already circulating above ground and in our environment, and are renewable over just a few years or decades. Whether it's crops, residues, household waste, waste gases, or forestry offcuts, these materials all contain carbon that can be converted to SAF to power our aircraft. So while the emissions from the engines are the same for SAF or fossil fuels, SAF has the benefit of essentially recycling carbon that's already in circulation, and therefore over its life cycle can reduce emissions by 80% or more compared to traditional fossil-based jet fuel. Once the cooking oil has come to the end of its useful life making chips, it can be collected and taken to a fuel refinery for processing.
Once the used cooking oil has been collected, it ends up here at the Phillips 66 Humber refinery, where it enters this tank, ready for processing. When the used cooking oil is ready to be processed, it leaves the tank via these pipelines. Through those pipes, it then arrives at this production unit, where the refinery cracks and cleans the oil to produce a high-quality jet fuel.
The used cooking oil we saw earlier has been processed and is now ready to head to the airport. SAF leaves here and enters a grid, if you like, a fuel pipeline where it is blended with conventional fossil fuel before it reaches the aircraft. And one of the places that grid of pipelines ends up is here, Heathrow Airport in London, where this aircraft is about to be refueled including that blended sustainable aviation fuel before heading off on his next flight. Before I go and speak to the captain, let's find out why this is such a big moment for British Airways.
Sustainable aviation fuel is a vital first step to reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and finding other sources of materials that can be used to make jet fuel. As a group, we've committed to powering 10% of our flights with sustainable aviation fuel by 2030. That may not sound like much, but that's an increase of over 1,000 times in less than a decade. And to get there, we're investing in first-of-a-kind production plants like the one you visited today. Our partnership with Phillips 66 makes us the first airline in the world to use sustainable aviation fuel produced on a commercial scale in the UK.
Captain.
Morning.
Good morning. I know you're about to head off. I just need to know, how does it feel knowing that some of the fuel on board is sustainable and just began its life the other day cooking my chips?
Actually, I can't tell the difference. SAF is loaded onto the aircraft in exactly the same way as traditional fossil jet fuel. It's fully tested, it meets all the stringent safety and quality standards for commercial aviation fuel. It's come a long way from being able to cook chips. There's nothing I need to do differently in my fuel loading during the flight compared to a flight operated by fossil fuels. The performance of the aircraft doesn't change.
It's fantastic to see this aircraft and many others here at Heathrow already being part-powered by sustainable aviation fuel. Increasing the development of SAF is crucial to decarbonising our industry and our planet, and I've seen over the last few days that everyone at British Airways is committed to making that happen. But you might be asking, why can't we just put the aircraft solely on SAF fuel?
So currently, the global supply of SAF is less than 1% of aviation's total demand. So there's just not enough to power all flights yet. That's why we're investing to increase its development as quickly as possible. At the moment, SAF is also several times more expensive compared to fossil jet fuel, so we're working with governments and industry partners to ensure that the right policies and incentives are available to attract investment and bring SAF to scale. As this happens, the price should drop too. We can't change the way we operate overnight. It will take time, but we're determined to lead the change that we want to see across our industry to tackle climate change.
It's been amazing to follow the journey from flyer to aircraft, learn more about SAF and hear about the upcoming changes to help our planet. If you want to find out more, visit ba.com/BA-Better-World.
Nabiha Iqbal, DJ, producer and Londoner. I love so many different types of music, and I think the music that you associate with a long drive, there's something quite special about it. I think there's a really particular feeling that comes with driving around London or maybe any big city at night. It's kind of quiet but lit up with all these amazing, beautiful, colourful lights. If I had to think about how I'd want to soundtrack it, it really just depends on how I'm feeling. So I might be in the mood to listen to some jazz, something quite euphoric, but then also it might be cool to listen to music by people who I knew have walked in those streets. Really loved Jimi Hendrix, and he was living in London for quite a while, right in the centre, and I like to listen to his tunes and think about him actually making that music whilst living in the city and all the inspiration that he must have soaked up from the streets that I'm now walking in. Sometimes you can feel inspired by something you read, maybe something you hear, a bit of conversation or certain sounds in the city, or just ideas that I'm thinking about. Or maybe it's just me kind of messing around on the guitar or at the piano and coming up with some new chords, and yet you just kind of have to get in the studio and coax it out. definitely have a sense of nostalgia when I think about like the places that I used to hang out when I was growing up as a teenager and during uni. It's just part of life and part of history that things change. Even though like those special places might not exist anymore, there's always other ones cropping up all the time, and there's always new experiences to add to the old ones. Driving around London can feel really chaotic, but there is a sense of having a small bubble of calm really when I'm sitting there in my own car and you've got your music on. You're in the chaos, but you're also kind of removed from it, and that's quite a nice place to be. One thing which I really appreciate about being in a city like London is the fact that you can live here your whole life, but then you can still see something new every day. It's a beautiful thing.
April 12, 1945. President Franklin Roosevelt dies of a cerebral hemorrhage in Warm Springs, Georgia, at age 63.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Roosevelt, who led America through the Great Depression and most of World War II, served a record 12 years in office. Vice President Harry Truman succeeds Roosevelt in the White House. 1861. Start of the American Civil War. Confederate forces fire on the Union garrison at Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina. Fighting between the North and South lasts 4 years with more than 500,000 deaths. 1961. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin becomes the first man to fly in space, orbiting the Earth once before making a safe landing. 1981. America's first space shuttle, named Columbia, blasts off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, on its maiden flight. More than 2 decades later, Columbia meets a tragic end. It disintegrates on re-entry, killing its 7-passenger crew. And 1947.
My name is Dave Letterman. I'm the host of The Late Show, America's most successful C student.
David Letterman, the late-night TV talk show host, is born in Indianapolis. Today in history, April 12th. Mike Gracia, The Associated Press.
Welcome back in our studio, and in today's news,